Hello and welcome to the OTRS 8 webinar about the process design. My name is Lukas Schmalzing, I'm consultant, and today my colleague Andreas Bender is joining me. So as I said, we are facing the process design, so we will see how both interfaces, agent and external interface, can be integrated.
Yeah, hi Luca. I'm actually very curious because I see already a typical onboarding process. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. So today we are facing a very best practice example. So this is a request we very often get from our customers. How can I build an onboarding process within OTRS?
Yeah, definitely. I hear that very often when we're having on-site engagements with our customers, or also our sales department receive a lot of requests how they can digitalize their onboarding process into OTRS, and how is that possible?
Yes, so normally in many companies that I've visited in the past, they are working with forms where you have to fill out data and you give it to the next department. And in OTRS, this can be automated. So as you can see here, we have 3 swim lanes in general, and I would like to start with the HR department. So in the beginning, when a new employee is incoming to the company, we are starting with the HR department who is collecting the employee data. So as you can see, data like the first name, last name, address, phone number, and things like that are collected by the HR department and will be handed over to the next department, which in this case is the department head of the incoming employee. In the next step, as you can see, the manager is informed and the title of the ticket will be set through a script task activity. There is a decision if the employee will be at the local office or in home office. So you can see both ways here with different actions. So if he is in the local office, the office management has to assign a key to the new employee. So as you can see here, we have 2 directions how the decision can be made.
So I see different responsibilities or involved persons. There is a department head, the HR department, but there's also the IT department who has to do something. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. So you can involve different departments, and what's very nice about that is that you can always decide on the direction. So you can really define the way the ticket is going through. So you have the process engine, which is underneath the ticket. It's like a normal ticket actually, but the main difference is that you have the process engine, which is underneath it and decides where the ticket goes next.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned it's not just the workflow, it's also about the forms. Currently, I guess in a lot of companies, there's just that piece of paper which goes around from department to department and has to be filled out by the department head. But as I can see here in your description at the very beginning, you have here already a documentation about how that field should look like. Is it a text field? Is it a drop down? What is that about in OTRS? How we can configure that?
Yeah, there is an own module for that, which is called dynamic fields. And these dynamic fields can be defined in different ways. It can be, for example, a very simple text field. It can be a text area. It can be a date field, a drop down, multi-select. So there are different dynamic field types which you can decide in between. And yeah, basically it's up to you how you need your form.
Yeah, I would really like to see how these forms looks like. Can we have a look at the external interface when the HR department is informing basically the IT or the department head that the new employee will arrive?
Sure. Let's switch to the external interface. And as we have learned in the last session, you can enter the new ticket area and select a process ticket. So you can select the process that you have configured on your system. In our case, it's the onboarding process. And as you can see here, as I mentioned, you have different additional fields which have been added to the system. For example, we have the first name, which can be John. We have the last name, which can be Doe. We have the address, which can be, for example, Street 1. But as you can see here, this is a text area, so you can decide on the size of the field. So to enter even more information, for example, a postcode and something like this. The next thing would be the phone number. So you can enter the different telephone number. The multi-selection of the language, as I said, for example, English, and the colleague is for our office in Spain. So I select both languages. And the start date, so you can even use a date picker, as you can see here, to select in a very flexible way the date in a calendar. So he will start on the 1st of June, and the department, and as I said, it's for the IT department, and you can now select, for example, the department head. In our case, it's Pedro Perez, and he is selected here. So as I said, now there's a distinguish between home office and the office itself. So you can decide where the new employee will work. I will start with the office. So as I said, he's a new employee for Spain, and now I can create the onboarding ticket.
Okay, what happens now when that ticket is created? Does the customer, or in that case, the what is that, bill recruiter here in your example, who is creating a new employee request, does he see the current state of his ticket?
Yes, he can always, as you can see here now, we are redirected to the ticket list. And there you can see the onboarding request with the ticket number, when it has been created, and the state. And if you go into the ticket detail view, you might see even more details. For example, you can see it's currently in the HR queue. We are in the onboarding process, and the IT equipment selection is currently done. So it's pending for the IT equipment selection. So as you can see here in the overview, he can always see the current state of the ticket.
Okay, and how does it look like from the agent perspective? I guess the next step is that the department head has to do something. You mentioned that in your BPMN overview, that this is the next step. So how he gets now informed that he has to do something.
Mm-hmm. So you're absolutely right. As you can see, we are now in the next swim lane with the Inform Manager, and this is done on the agent interface. And as I said, today we want to face the interaction between external and agent interface. So when I go now back to the recently created ticket, you can see that there are two new tickets, and let me explain why. So at first, let's take a look on the new employee, the John Doe ticket, which has been created by Bill Recruiter. We did that on the external interface, and as you can see here, information has been added. So we see the first and last name, we have the address, every information we have added, even the department head, Pedro Perez, who's responsible for this new employee. And as you can see down below, a notification has been triggered. So in this case, good day, there is a new employee incoming for your department. Please decide. So the department head has been informed about the new employee. He can open the ticket via a button here. So this is done via email. He has been informed.
So that means when he receives the email and clicks to the button, he will exactly see what you currently displaying here. So he has an overview of what has been entered. So basically that's the data, what he already entered, but or what the HR has entered before. And now he has an overview about that new employee. And what's coming next now? Because I guess he has to do something. You mentioned something about selection of equipment.
Yes, correct. So if I go back to the top of the page, you can see the business process information, there you can always find the buttons to select and to go further into your process. So currently we have informed the manager, the title has been set, and we had the decision between the home office and the office. Since we have selected the first step that he will be in the local office, you can see that another ticket has been created. So there's a link ticket. You can even do that with the process engine. So you can split tickets, and the new ticket is for the office department. And there you can see that an office equipment selection needs to be done. So the office key can be selected and needs to be assigned to the customer user. So in this case, as you can see, we can assign the office key to the new employee. We can just select. So for example, these are the currently available keys. And we can handle another task in another ticket within the process. So as you can see, we can even have parallel tickets which interact with each other.
So this is now a subtask of the original one. So it's also shown here. The other one is the parent ticket, and this one is basically a child ticket.
Correct. So now we have here the parent ticket, the new employee John Doe, and this is a child ticket because this subtask only exists because of the parent ticket. Otherwise, there won't be a key assignment, and this task can be done by another party. So that's the main idea behind it. Okay, I've assigned the key and go back into the ticket. Now you can even see that the information at this point is done here. And if I select now the IT equipment, I can decide which laptop. So I'm the department head right now, and I'm deciding which IT equipment the new employee needs. So in my case, it would be a MacBook Pro with 13 inches, an iPhone 12, and he needs, since he's working in the IT department, he needs all of the available software. I can complete my selection. And now you can see the ticket, there's automation in the background because the ticket is moving to another department and another state will be set. So right now, as you can see, we have the ticket pending other department, and we see all configuration items that have been assigned to the ticket. And right now, we are here.
But where are these data is coming from here? You mentioned the last time in the last session that there's a CMDB in OTRS.
Correct.
So does that mean that the department head has the chance here to select the available equipment?
Yes, correct. So you have the CMDB, every available equipment, and then you can really easily just assign the available configuration items in your CMDB to assign it to the new employee. So within the process.
So this is filtered by available equipment, which is not assigned to another employee. Okay.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go back to the BPMN diagram, you can see right now we have done the IT equipment selection. You saw that we have informed the IT department through moving the ticket to the department, and we set the state to pending other departments. So now we are in the last swim lane. We are at the IT department itself, and there needs hard and software configuration to be done. So as you can see, we have two fields again. Let me show it in the interface. So now there's a new button available, which is the configuration of the hard and software. And as I said, you can see the queue is the IT department. So it has been moved to the right queue.
And with every move of a ticket, we automatically inform the other department who is working in that queue, right?
Correct. So that he gets a small summary and, as I said, some information. So as you can see before, we have informed the the HR department with this notification, or of course, after I have finished the hard and software configuration, you'll see that the HR department will be informed as well. So let's say we have defined his username, which is JD, and we set a default password, which can be, for example, summer 2021. And now you can see the HR department will be informed. It's processing in the background. And as you can see, very dynamically, so you do not need to take any action.
Can he switch back to his external interface and check what's the, perfect, okay, and then you see that it's complete.
Correct. So now you can see the ticket has been closed successfully, and it's in the process end. And as you can see, he gets an information that like a summary of the onboarding information of the onboarding process, so the employee data, the equipment, the credentials for the new employee. So yeah, basically he gets a summary, the HR department, to use that summary when the new employee will start at the 1st of June. So we are now at the, as you can see, this was the last step of our process. So the HR department has been informed and the process is done.
Okay, perfect. That's great. I guess for a lot of companies, I guess that is already helpful. But I mean, on the other hand, it could be also more complex, because I could imagine especially for the hard and software configuration, there is much more to do than just defining a username and a default password at the beginning. There's, for example, you need to assign the software in the CMDB, or maybe you have to address that information or document that in some external asset management tool, and many other things which has to be done. So these forms could be more complex. These processes could be more complex. What about transferring that information to external systems to even optimize that workflow from an automation perspective?
That's perfectly possible too. So for example, you can use so-called web services within OTRS to even make your processes more complex and have a higher degree of automation. So you can interact with other, it can perfectly fine be integrated into your already existing infrastructure with different, as you mentioned, third-party software or asset management systems or what else. So you can integrate it there and interact with other software through web services with this process. So the process is, for example, waiting that in your ERP software is something done. So it's listening and waiting, so you can interact between different systems.
And which protocols are supported here from the OTRS web service or interfaces?
So you can use SOAP or REST APIs.
Okay. And what you are showing here for an overview how that process looks like, that is BPMN structure, as I understood. How does that look like in OTRS? Is that similar? Can you show us
yes.
the administration panel, basically, how to design that?
Yeah, sure. So this is a common question at that point. So when I enter the administrator dashboard and I'm switching to the process management and selecting the onboarding process, you can see that it is even in OTRS itself designed as a BPMN. So as you can see here, we have the same diagram. We have the adding employee data. We have the inform manager, script task activities with the same icons. So you can see it is built within OTRS the same way, and it is very easy. So as you can see, we have the activity with an assigned dialog, and it's always drag and drop. So as you can see, it's very easy to assign different dialogues, to find even different dynamic fields. So we talked about that at the start or in the beginning of this conversation. So as you can see here, the fields have been assigned to the dialog, and you can very easily change that. So you can put them out, you could put them back in. He will ask you if it should be displayed as a mandatory field, for example. So you can change that very easily, as you can see. And you can even change the order of the fields in a very easy way. So it's always just drag and drop. There's no need of complex configuration here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what about these different activities and lines? As far as I remember, it's called sequence flows in BPMN. It's also called here in OTRS sequence flows. So how to link them together? Can you show us how easy is that?
Yeah, sure. So we are currently, if we, for example, take the adding employee data activity, we are basically checking if the sequence flow is complete. You can see it's just basically drag and drop, and I can assign and build new process steps in a very easy way. So this is built in a very modular way. We can easily add new activities to an already existing process. We can reuse these activities, since it's all of these activities, user task dialogues and sequence flows can be reused. You don't need to build them all over and over again. So for all of your processes, you can reuse them and in a very easy way assign it to your process. So as you can see here, I've just added this activity here. I have already built it in the past in another process, and now I've added it just here as another step. And it took 5 seconds to add this approval here. So as you can see, very easy.
Okay, and I would also like to see the configuration of an script task activity. You showed us the dialogue with the specific forms, but what about these automatic things? Like we saw before, that OTRS automatically send an email. How is that configured? Is that complicated?
No, not at all. So let me open the Inform Manager script task activity. You're basically just selecting a script. So in this case, an email should be sent, and you can configure this email right away. So in the same place, we can just decide what should be the content of the email. So in this case, we are using the department head's email address as a recipient address, and then we can add different languages. So we have the English and German language, and as you can see, it's a normal editor, but we are using OTRS data through this so-called notification tags or smart tags to add the information that have been added to the ticket, so that have been filled out in the form. So as you can see, we are using that in the subject, in the table here, even as a recipient address.
As I can see in these fields, this is the normal rich text editor of OTRS. So that means it supports HTML. So we see here tables, we see the button. I guess also colors are available. I can add logos, things like that.
Yes, that's perfectly easy here. You can just, for example, select a red color and highlight the text in another way.
Yeah, thank you very much for that overview. It is a very powerful tool, the process management in OTRS. You can digitalize all your business processes or workflows, and you can lower the effort for agents and improve the service quality, right?
Yes, correct. Very easily, as you saw.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye.